This is WSFA 12 News at 6.
Tailgating, tradition, rivalry, and camaraderie. It's finally here. College football is back, and WSFA 12 News is bringing you all the sights and sounds. We've got Team 12 coverage from Atlanta, the Plains, and of course, right here in the capital city. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Michael Doudna. We start tonight with the return of a rivalry. It's Alabama State versus Tuskegee in a revived Labor Day Classic. Oh, thanks so much, Samantha. We'll be sure to check in with you later on in the show. Now, from Montgomery to Atlanta now, it's the biggest opener in college football history. Number 1, Alabama versus number 3, Florida State. And that's where WSFA 12 sports reporter Maria Martinez. And Maria, well, it looks like we have a great game in store. The opioid crisis is now claiming the tiniest of victims. Hospitals are seeing a spike in babies born addicted to drugs like heroin. WSFA 12 News anchor Tanya Terry reports in today's Health Watch. Happening now, bow hunting season is already underway. It began last weekend, but some hunters are already gearing up for gun hunting season. And the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources wants to make sure that hunters have safety at top of mind. Toxic algae continues to coat beaches and marinas off Florida's southern beaches. Now, the algae bloom was created when fresh water was released from a lake, and the bloom is now keeping people off the water, killing fish, and possibly impacting health. An update after a horrible scene at a Florida airport as a small plane carrying 5 people crashed on takeoff shortly after 7 o'clock this morning. Witnesses say the plane burst into a ball of fire upon impact. The twin-engine plane was taking off in heavy fog when visibility was at 0. The Polk County Sheriff and an airport employee reviewed video of the fog from moments before the crash.
Airbase.
Those on the plane included a 70-year-old pilot, his 2 daughters, 1 son-in-law, and a family friend, all who did not make it through the crash. The NTSB is now investigating. We're following new information now out of Washington. The new GOP tax law is being met with some confusion just days before it goes into effect. Taking a live look at Washington now lawmakers are on break while many people are rushing to make last-minute payments, hoping to save some money before the end of the year. Over the past few weeks, we've had a lot of focus on how the people of Alabama have been preparing for Christmas. But what about how Santa is preparing? Well, WSFA 12 News reporter Samantha Day sat down with good old St. Nick to find out. Ebenezer Scrooge, the ghost of Christmas past, Tiny Tim, well, those, of course, the iconic characters of A Christmas Carol and are known around the world. But do you know the story behind the story or how Charles Dickens wrote the book in just 6 weeks? Well, Nick Glass takes us deeper into the story.
Students are working again this morning, but we're going to see to the true sounds of Alabama, which means rain and thunder.
Well, that's a perfect time. Perfect sleeping weather. Of course, everyone has to go to work on Monday, so maybe not sleeping too much. Thank you so much, Vernon. Now, Alabama, Troy, and Auburn, well, they all brought home the win yesterday. Justin McNally has the big highlights next in your Sports Drill.
Michael, big wins for Troy, Alabama, and Auburn, but I know the only win you're worried about is your Missouri Tigers putting on a good show earlier this afternoon and knocking off Idaho.
Yeah, that's not big. That's not a big opponent, of course. It's only our 2nd win of the season, but it's good to see all the Alabama teams win. Missouri won, so we know it's going to be a happy Monday for everyone involved in the station.
That's right, most definitely.
Oh, thank you so much, Justin, and we'll be right back. Many folks are getting ready to celebrate the 4th of July at their own homes, and that can mean setting off your own fireworks display. But authorities want you to be safe when doing so. WSFA 12 News reporter Bethany Davis has some tips. And Bethany, a lot of these tips are pretty simple. Prattville's celebration continues at several locations in the city, including Pratt Park and Stanley Jensen Stadium. In recent years, flying usually means squeezing into a seat for a few hours. Well, now the FAA is under a federal court order to review the sizes of seats and legroom on commercial airlines. Advocates argue that these small airline seats can actually put passengers' health at risk for conditions like blood clots in legs. A New York Times report claiming President Trump made some insensitive comments in regards to immigration at an Oval Office meeting earlier this year Next at 5, well, the White House is denying the claims the president made any such comment. Plus, new reaction from North Korea following the United Nations adoption of new heavy sanctions. Well, it seems like a nice Christmas day to stay inside next to a nice little warm fire and enjoy the time with some family.
And all the new gifts.
Of course, and all the new gifts as well. Well, thank you, Vernon. Well, it's been a great weekend for Auburn hoops. Coming up, the men's basketball team's winning streak continues. Justin McNally has the details. Christmas time is here, and all across Alabama, folks are preparing for the holiday. But have you ever wondered how Santa gets ready in the countdown to Christmas? Well, we sat down with the big jolly man himself to find out. That's next at 10.
To you, how important is it for you to see Doug Jones, to see someone that you work to help actually make it on top and actually win today?
It's one of the great nights of my life. I've been lucky and blessed in my life. This is so cool for Alabama. It makes Alabama look better. That's the most important thing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful night as well. As you can tell, a lot of people are extremely happy with the result today. We'll have more most likely coming up and also in the morning shows as well. Back to you, Mark and Val.
The party.
All right, Michael, get out of your comfort zone. Who do you think's going to win? You're there.
Well, I'm not going to give you a pure prediction right now.
How about it?
Probably
Why
if you
not?
had to say someone was going to win. It's a little bit tough to tell right now because it all depends on exactly where the turnout is. If you see rural Alabama turn out a lot more than you see areas like Birmingham, Madison County, Montgomery, well, then you'll see Roy Moore win. But if you see the inverse of that, that's where you'll actually see Doug Jones end up on top. And the big question mark when you see these polls results come in is where's the African-American vote? Does it turn out for Doug Jones? And what about the suburban white women, or especially in areas like Birmingham, which could really be the difference maker for Doug Jones? Right now, the Republican base is just so large here in Alabama, so Roy Moore probably has a slight edge, but this race really could be too close to call, and we could be in for a pretty late night here. Well, that's it for WSFA 12 News at 6. We'll be right back here tonight at 10. And remember that we're always there for you at WSFA.com, Facebook, Twitter, and of course our WSFA 12 News and weather apps. Good night.